Last time on the 20-Sided Realms.
All right, well, we'll find ways to make money.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we check out the tavern board networks and see what kind of jobs are being posted right now?
Well, hello, and good evening. What can the fancies do for you for this fine night?
Well, actually, we might be able to do something for you.
But many of my patrons have seen some sort of large crawling monstrosity slithering about in the darkness, just as it was about to pounce on the tiny Penelope. It stops dead in its tracks and just drops dead to the floor. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much. I shall make sure to pass along that the Troll Skull Champions are the ones to call upon if you are in need of a helping hand. Welcome back. Let's play some Dungeons & Dragons. A new day has dawned on Troll Skull Alley. The birds are chirping. The friendly worker mice are busy cleaning and prepping so that Dolan can make a delicious breakfast. What's on the table today, Dolan?
You know what? We had a bunch of extra pear snips. So it's something involving... I don't even know what a pear snip is, I'll be honest with you. Like an onion?
A parsnip? Is that what you're saying?
Parsnip? Parsnip? Parsnip.
I thought you ate a bunch of pears and you snipped off the top.
You're being a little persnickety.
Yeah, you know what? We got some fresh eggs because the blacksmith neighbor, he has some chickens. And I made some of the leftovers from last night. We had some buttery, sugary, flaky bread snacks, and we traded, bartered some eggs. We're gonna have some eggs and parsnips.
Eggs and parsnips, and a pear tree. Parsnips from a pear tree. As breakfast is close to completion, actually, indeed, you're plating and bringing everything out to one of the few tables that has all of its legs and is relatively level. Everyone's groggily coming downstairs and getting ready to partake in this bountiful feast when suddenly the windows rattle and the roar of an explosion fills Troll Skull Alley. A thick cloud of acrid smoke starts to billow in through the windows. Something seems to have occurred right outside your doorstep. What do you do?
Chaz drops and rolls. He stops, he drops, and he rolls. He just is just rolling around on the floor. Then he stops. It's like, what just happened? What just happened?
His excellent reflexes from many fiery foul plays have triggered the proper response. Although you do smell the smell of burning wood, dirt, and unfortunately flesh, there are no flames currently inside the manor.
Good, because I wasn't sure how you'd cook a pear snip or a parsnip, and I'm glad it's not a parsnip related explosion. I guess I'll run to the window to see what I can see, the front door.
Through the thick, acrid smoke, you unfortunately see the charred remains of several passerbys littered in the street.
Oh, no.
There are a few cries and wails in the distance as commotion has brought people out of their shops and turning the corners to try and investigate what on earth has occurred.
I would look for people who are injured.
All right, you're gonna go outside into the alley.
Yeah, but being careful because could be fire or smoke someplace.
Yeah, I'll go outside too.
Going outside, you start to wave your hands, move some of the smoke out of the way. It is starting to dissipate rather rapidly as it diffuses into the open air. You count up what appear to be at least 10 forms that are scattered and charred and unfortunately quite lifeless. Chaz, why don't you give me an Arcana check?
Oh, absolutely. How'd we do? Not well.
Chaz, rolling a 9, you are very certain that this damage was done by fire.
Some good news and some bad news. Yeah.
You get a +5 to that roll, right?
Yeah, but I rolled a
Oh,
4.
boy. Jeez.
Yes. 4 plus 5, it's a 9.
I don't know what happened to you guys.
I mean, let's see here. Could it have been an explosion from from inside a sewer?
I mean, is
And,
there a crater? Is there a point of origin here? What's the radius of destruction looking like?
Yeah, can we like follow it, the explosion?
Yes, as you inspect the street, the explosion seems to have happened on the surface. There's no debris from anything coming up underground, so it certainly didn't originate from beneath the earth. There would be a lot more rubble and possibly a hole somewhere. There is certainly some damage to the street. It was a powerful explosion, but it seemed pretty concentrated to this one little section. Quite frankly, just a few 10, 15 feet from the entrance to your tavern. Among the bodies, you are seeing lots of different sizes. Unfortunately, one of them decidedly gnomish, a few halflings, and several other humanoids.
I'm gonna look up, kind of scan the rooftops, make sure there's nothing flying around, dropping explosives on us.
Yeah, why don't you give me a perception check as you scan the rooftops?
All right, got a 15 on perception.
You do not see any figures or anything hiding amongst the rooftops, although the rooftops are plentiful and it would have been very easily to do some sort of ambush from them. The buildings here are all very close together, and you imagine it would be very easy to traverse them jumping from building to building.
And ultimately, we can't tell from the remains if this is like the Eibelman, like gang warfare stuff that we were seeing in other parts of the city.
Why don't you give me an investigation check as you try to investigate the origins of some of these poor victims?
Do I have any sense of like, is it an Underdark gnome or like a forest gnome like me? Like, is there any remnants of a hat that might have been charred?
Yes. So Penny, you gravitate towards the gnomish form. What you notice is he is gripping a dagger in his hand. There are certainly the charred remains of a conical hat. It was orange, from what you can tell.
I rolled a 23.
Oh.
My investigation.
As Dolan, you investigate the rest of the victims, rolling a 23 on that investigation check. You find among them 3 humans that were definitely dressed in leathers with some sort of dark cloaks on. They were all well armed, more than just you would normally be walking around. There were several like hidden daggers amongst them, and one of them bearing a neck tattoo of a flying serpent. You know this to be the symbol of the Zentarum, with a Z.
The Zentarum. Well, I'll point out the tattoos, and I'll say, I don't know, this could be gang related. This whatever this was. I mean, we know that there's issues with the Zentarum and the Xanathar, and now we have the guild coming up all the way from Baldur's Gate. I think that this could get really nasty. I mean, it's taken a lot of lives already. We got to try to stay clear of this if we can.
Penny, as you are inspecting the body of the dead gnome, you do notice that his boots have some dry waste and scum, meaning that he definitely has recently been in the sewers. And he also has a very heavy pouch filled with gemstones.
Okay. I'm gonna, as respectfully as I can, try to peel open his little hand so I can take a look at that dagger first. Is there any sort of inscription on it? Is it made out of anything notable?
No, the bag itself is leather, but it's got pretty charred. You think?
Oh,
that
I mean the dagger itself. Before I even get to the bag.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The dagger. No, it's well made, worn. It looks like it's been in his possession for a long time. It seems like a very common. Most Waterdevians or people of the realms will walk about with at least some form of protection. So it just seems like a simple dagger that...
It's interesting to me that it was in his hand during the blast. Like, it makes me think that something was going on.
Yeah, give me an insight check on that.
Yeah, you got it, champ. You got it. Oh, you hate to see it.
Your insight is only 8, so you don't gather a lot of extra insight. But yes, it is suspicious that this gnome was at least attempting to defend himself, you assume. So whether he sensed the danger or something else, yeah, that would be one of the only reasons he would be gripping the dagger in such a way. And he was gripping it with the blade pointing down, so it's like he just had drawn it out.
Yeah.
Getting ready to defend himself.
Ready to do some stabbing. Yeah. All right, let me ask you this, because I'm holding Sluggy, and I've been covering his eyes the whole time because I don't want him to see such horrible things.
As you're trying to cover his eye stalks, if you remember, they're prehensile, and they keep
he's
trying.
Peeking, huh?
Yeah, you could cover at least one, but he's able to slip like between your fingers. It's a very difficult task. You're doing your best as a new slug mother, but our little slug friend has seen this atrocity.
Seen some things. Okay. Well, my question was going to be like, there's not any traces of like, since gnomes commonly have an animal companion with them, are there any like was he trying to protect his buddy, you think? Is there some...
You find no remains of any animals that were caught in this blast.
All right. And then before I... let the dead rest, I'm going to try to open up that little charred pouch and see if there's anything of note in there.
You don't find any note, but there are certainly a fair amount of sizable gemstones in it.
I feel weird taking that. Well, I'm just going to close it up, and if any of my friends want to take that...
A mage hand appears very near to you, Penny.
Give me a sleight of hand roll there.
A sleight of mage hand. Chaz is going to do a little sleight of mage hand. His third hand is going to kind of hover below Penny's hand holding a pouch. Chaz rolled an 8.
What's your charisma modifier?
4.
A +4. Okay, so this
that's
sleight of hand.
My saving throw. My charisma modifier is not that good. It's 2. It's 2.
Oh, it's 2. Okay. Well, that will bring this sleight of hand to a 10, which is sufficient for Penny not to fully grasp or catch this as the mage hand lifts the pouch away. To you, Penny, the pouch seems to have disappeared. You think you dropped it, and you're looking on the floor and you don't see it anymore. Chaz, it is now in your possession, and your keen eye.
Possession's a tricky issue. It's going to be kind of hidden behind a dumpster in an alley, like
Perfect.
Just to the side of like.
It is out of the scene of the crime.
Yeah, not technically part of our possession. It's in the alley next to Troll Skull Manor,
Okay.
but if we get taken to court, it's not actually on our property. Yeah.
That is actually very wise. You are becoming quite versed in the
Kind of
ways
move,
of Waterdeep.
like a little crate, kind of obscured a little bit. It's back there. I know where it is.
As soon as this mage hand has lifted the bag out of sight, the city watch arrives on the scene. There are 6 guards that are hurriedly running towards the alley. As soon as they arrive, one of them takes charge and tells everyone in a gruff voice, we're going to need everyone to stay in the vicinity. We're going to have some questions for you. So nobody leave, but also we need to keep a 6-foot perimeter around the charred area of the blast. Is that understood by everyone?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
Oh, yeah.
A few other people who have come out to see what happened all agree, and the soldiers, we'll say that the soldiers form a perimeter around the blast, and they seem to just be standing guard and awaiting the arrival of someone else.
They're waiting for someone to show up with the yellow tape. So then,
Caution.
then they can tape off the caution tape. Yeah.
Common standard procedure. A few minutes later, you hear up in the sky a sound of a strange bird.
That is a strange bird.
And shortly after that, a mighty griffin lands in the alley. A griffin laden with 2 people. And these 2 people get off. One of them, a very tall, lanky man with a mustache that covers his bottom lip almost completely.
His bottom lip?
Yeah, so the mustache is
goes
very
all
large.
the way down. Wow.
You don't
long.
see his mouth. All you see is stash.
I thought you were saying it's like an upside down mustache at first, and I was like a mustache.
But perhaps I didn't explain that. But a very Tom Selleck-esque mustache.
Okay.
What about a Sam?
Sam Elliott. There you go.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott is even a better image. Actually, if we were to cast this character, Sam Elliott would be playing it. He is certainly an older man. He has seen his years. He is wearing the uniform of the guard, and he quickly pulls out a little notebook and starts making notes. Accompanied with him is a diminutive man, also well into the middle age of life. He has a very full and thick blonde beard, with touches of gray mixed into it. He is wearing small green circular glasses and is supporting himself with a very cool looking gnarled cane. And he is wearing a medallion that also bears the symbol of the city watch, but he is not in watch garb. He is wearing some purplish robes, and he walks in and starts to investigate the scene of the crime. He quickly reaches into his robe and pulls out a wand. You could see he says something underneath his breath, and he starts to inspect the alley. Does anyone want to do anything at this point?
Well, I'm going to whisper to the rest of the group that I'm very impressed because it's super hard to convince a griffin to let her be ridden. So, I don't know, these guys might be magical or really high ranking guards or something. So I don't know. It's definitely on somebody's radar, this explosion.
Yeah. The city there, I don't know exactly what it's called, but they have a cadre of griffin riders.
The city,
who are the elite.
It's
guard.
big.
Well, you see, I've been here longer than all of you. And so some of the law enforcement around here, some of the specialists, some of the heavy guns, they're actually part of a Griffin Riders Corps who fly around the city from place to place using their griffins. So Yeah, this might be some serious business.
I mean, a lot of people did die in a fire. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they got to bring in the heavy guns. I'll say heavy guns again because we don't have guns in this world. They have to bring in the heavy hitters. Yeah. So I think there's a whole roost. There's a whole griffin's roost at the top of the city, and they can get on their griffins and they can get to a location in no time.
How long do you have to be a member of the City Watch to become one of the Griffin Riders?
Oh, I don't know.
The mounted police.
Years, I assume. I don't think it's just for anybody. I mean, if it was just for anybody, then all these yahoos out here on the street, they'd have their, these patrolmen would all have griffins too.
Yeah, those guys on that griffin, those look even older than you, Dolan.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know. But maybe you could ask them, but they look like they're in some serious business right now. Maybe not distract them.
As this conversation is happening near the fallen gnomish body, the purple-robed individual finished casting his quick incantation with his wand. He looks around and he points over to a direction on the other side of the street. And he says something that you're close enough to overhear. Says, now, Seth, it looks like it came from that side of the street. Why don't you go over there and inspect that area? The center of the blast, and he turns towards you and points right where the gnomish body is. Definitely was right here. I'm going to... Oh, and he notices you standing over the body, and he approaches you. Good morning. Well, I guess it's not exactly a good morning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Barnabas Blastwind. I will be investigating this particular incident. Where were the four of you when the explosion occurred?
Excuse me, Mr. Blastwind. Are you the one in the purple robe, or are you the other one?
Yeah, as you could see standing before you, I'm the one in the purple robe with green glasses and a blonde beard. My compatriot that I called Seth, who has the big mustache, is across the street with his notebook currently.
I can see that now that you mention it. Thank you.
It's smoky. It's smoky out here still.
Chaz is all a Twitter from He Loves Fire, so he's in this kind of weird mood right now. You've got to forgive him.
Oh, Chaz loves fire. He pulls out a notebook and starts writing some things down. Interested.
Yeah,
And young man, your name is Chaz. Is am I to presume that is correct?
Hey, I'm Chaz. Do you have a tape measurer? I want to kind of get the radius of this. This is a lot of fire really fast, huh?
Yes, that is an astute observation, my young lad. But it is most definitely was a 40-foot blast, reminiscent of a fireball spell. It most definitely emanated from across the street, and the center of said blast is unfortunately right here over this poor deceased soul. And he points down to the gnomish body.
Whoa, you can do this with a spell?
Well, it is a combination of spell and years of experience, my good lad.
Cool. Yeah. What was the question?
Where were the four of you when the blast occurred?
We were inside. We didn't see it. I wish I'd signed this. This is cool.
Did you hear anything interesting or distracting?
Oh, we heard a commotion, yeah.
Yeah, just the blast itself, I believe.
And have you touched any of the bodies out here in the street?
I'm going to hold up both hands and wiggle my fingers, be like, nope, didn't touch anything.
I'm kind of a little bead of sweat, and I'm looking around at all my friends, and I'm like, no, we didn't.
The other gentleman, the tall gentleman with the big old mustache, has come forward, and he has a notebook out too. And he kind of says offhandedly, he being Barnabas, says offhandedly to Seth, "It appears that the blast did center right here around the gnome." Barnabas wiggles his finger a little bit, and a white gloved hand appears and starts lifting and inspecting the corpse of the gnome on the floor. He points out, it does appear that the gnome was aware he was being pursued, as you could see by the grip of his hand on the knife. It does not appear that the gnomish pursuers were most definitely moving towards this said establishment behind, and he points to the Troll Skull Tavern. He starts kind of rummaging through his pockets, and he produces a small scroll that has been singed but is still tied. He deftly unties it with his mage hand and lifts it up in front of his face. Interesting here. This particular note says, merely seek the Troll Skull Manor. Take note of that. I believe that, the pursuers of the gnome, and he points to the group of 3 bodies, one of which had the tattoo of the feathered serpent on his neck. I believe that these 3 gentlemen were pursuing the gnome, and from everything that occurred, I don't believe that any of them were aware of the fiery attack that was coming their way. He looks up to the 4 of you. Do you know the owners of this establishment here, the Troll Skull Manor? As he looks up at the sign.
Yeah, it's us.
Oh,
Us,
it is you.
Us, yeah.
The 4 of you are all equal partners in this organization.
Yeah, it's a 4-way venture.
It's a new venture.
And actually, I just tell you right now, this it was actually a reward for helping a well-to-do friend in the city. So yeah, recently we've come upon this.
I'm very happy for your fortune. Do any of you recognize or know this gnome that unfortunately lays before us?
No, a gnome hates to see a fallen gnome, but I don't think so.
I mean, have I taken a look? I mean, I don't remember if I've taken a look or not, but I just assumed we would know who it is.
Is the body pretty charred? Like,
it is pretty charred, but the blast came from behind him, and so his face is, fortunately or unfortunately, pretty well intact. And it is a gnomish face that none of you do recognize.
No, definitely. We don't. I mean, we've spent some time in Gnomerdeep, working in the slug fields, but yeah, we don't know who this is.
Interesting. Okay. And do you have any idea why he may have been coming to your establishment? Did any of you, and his mage hand turns the note, did any of you write this note that is in his possession?
no.
Look, I'm going to come out and level with you. Our tavern is not licensed yet. We hadn't gotten our license yet, so maybe this is regarding that.
Oh, perhaps. Okay. So you are not currently up and running as a business yet. It's a very new venture.
Yeah.
No, mostly mice and slugs hanging out with us so far, cleaning up.
We had a ghost.
Well.
We have a ghost.
We have a ghost.
Yeah, we have a ghost.
Oh, interesting. He writes that down.
Don't you be telling him about our ghost.
Listen, you gotta just be honest with law enforcement, okay?
I start to sweat again knowing about those gems.
As this conversation has happened, a woman with rather disheveled hair approaches and says, "Oh, I saw the blast!" And Barnabas turns his attention towards her almost immediately, and he says, "Oh, is that so, madam? Well, where were you?" "I was watering my plants in the greenhouse on the 2nd floor of my shop, right over there." And she points to a little shop that has the sign of Corellian's Crown hanging from the front door. Yes, I was on the second floor watering my plants, I was. And luckily, I wasn't injured, but the blast blew out all of me windows. I did see someone fleeing the scene, though. It was a cloaked individual, and he ran right ups to the body that you were standing in front of, he did, and he grabbed something from him. And then he ran away. Well, it wasn't quite a ran, it was more of a hubble. He seemed to be badly injured or some sort of thing. He was limping.
And you... Oh, well, I don't want to do your job, Barnabas, but I'm just curious. You didn't see what the object was?
That's a very good question, young lady. That's exactly what I would have asked next.
Oh, good.
Madam, did you see what the individual took from the body? No, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. Very well. In which direction did he leave? He went down the street that way, towards the bent nail.
And did you see anything else? Anybody else touch the body? Did you see just that one person, right?
No, it's just the one person.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's cool.
Another man in very fancy attire from the crowd approaches. I tell you, it was definitely not a man that took something from the body and ran away. It was more like a puppet-shaped man. I got a good look at it from the front. It was like a puppet without strings. It had no face. Its face was wood.
Huh.
But it definitely hurled something at the gnome and caused the explosion. Of that I am certain.
Well, there's 3 parties involved. You have the gnome, who's on the run. You have the 3 men who are following. And then you have this, perhaps, puppet or whatever, a hobbling man throwing fireballs. So this is a multiple parties involved in this incident.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There seem to be at least 3 parties involved, as you so astutely established there. There is the victim, the primary victim, which I will call Mr. Gnome. And then absolutely there were these pursuers and then some third organization. Seth, the tall man with the large mustache, approaches with a young halfling boy that he says, excuse me, Barnabas, but I spoke to this young lad. He hid behind the barrel when he heard the explosion, and he then heard some sort of plop into said barrel that he was hiding behind. And so he checked inside the barrel and found this. And he produces a necklace with several orange and white beads. The beads almost seem to swirl as you look at them. Barnabas takes the necklace from Seth and says, well, now this is a very interesting find here. I believe that we have just found the implement of this assassination.
We found our murder weapon.
Indeed we did. He makes note of it and then produces like a sparkling black bag that he then holds open, and Seth drops the necklace into it. Well, I believe that I have acquired all the information I need from your fine folks. If you could please be sure not to leave the city for at least the next 3 days in case we do have some further questioning after we, of course, question the bodies.
You know, before you leave, got a small request. And I'll admit that I would like this as well, but I know Penny, our friend Penny, would love to go see and meet your griffin. I would like to as well. I've never been this close to one. Is there a way we can go say hi to it?
Yes, you can, but please do not look it directly in the eyes as you approach, and do not raise your shoulders above your ears.
Copy.
Those would be signs of aggression, and he is well trained, but he may attack you immediately if any of those actions are performed.
Great. Cool.
I'm gonna close Sluggy into my backpack before like getting too close, just in case. Sluggy
gets a
looks
little-
pretty tasty at this stage.
Peckish.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm worried about. Although I'm probably snack sized as well, so.
They allow you to approach the griffin. As this is happening, you are seeing that all the soldiers that have formed a ring, they are now placing all of the deceased onto carriers. Those
Bring
like
out your dead wagons.
Yeah. Like two holes, two poles with a cloth. They're starting to gingerly lay the bodies upon them, and there is a wagon that has just approached.
Stretcher? Is that the word you're trying to say?
A stretcher. There you go. Yeah. They're using stretchers to move the bodies from the street and place them into a wagon for further questioning, Barnabas says.
Oh, that's creepy.
I'd like to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, this will be done under strict clerical supervision back at the police station. That's what we call it here in Waterdeep. We call our police officers the police station. It's a funny name that we have.
Yeah, it's we're gonna take these bodies downtown
to the morgue. There we go. I'll take them to the morgue.
So we didn't finish breakfast, did we?
No. And I believe it was pear snips. I think I had a lot of pear snips I was working with.
Parsnips.
Parsnips. Yeah, still not sure. Onion, is it onion-like? I don't know.
Before we go, does it seem like we could like pet the griffin, or does it seem like way too risky now that we're like closer to it?
No, you could pet the griffin. Just be sure not to raise your shoulder above your ear as you pet it.
So I'm gonna like try to sidestep towards it and like not look at it and be respectful, and I'm gonna try to just bend at the elbow, and with my other arm I'm like holding my arm down so my shoulders don't do anything. And just a little side pet.
All right, give me an animal handling check.
Yay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was fantastic. A 25.
The griffin coos at you and leans into the pet and seems to be very grateful for the affection.
What do the feathers feel like?
They're surprisingly soft.
Yeah.
Well, they have the outer feather layers of feather, which are different from the inside.
Dolan is
layers.
explaining this to me.
And I mean, I my father ran a roost.
A griffin roost.
A griffin roost. No, a regular roost.
They're chickens, but very similar.
In Baldur's Gate, everybody knew that. Oh, that shingle splinter. That's where you get the best eggs. They have layers of feathers.
Bucket list, gnome item checked off my list, huh? Petting a griffin. Never thought I'd see the day.
The bodies are taken away. The soldiers leave the street. The two investigators get back on the griffin, remind everyone once again, now please don't be leaving the city for at least 3 days. We will most likely have some more questions for you after we question the deceased. And the griffin leaps into the air and flies away. As this all happens, everyone stands there in a bit of a shock for a while, but then people start meandering about and I'm moving about once again. The gentleman who said that the cloaked figure was certainly not human, he kind of was standing by you and offhandedly says, Yes, it definitely wasn't a human being that did this. It was one of those automatons, like they do on the Parade of Wonders parade. Very similar to that one that they have dancing about at the House of Inspired Hands. I do swear those followers of Gond. Am I right? And he kind of like looks to the four of you, expecting some sort of response.
Yeah.
House of Hands, you said?
It's the House of Inspired Hands.
Oh, is that nearby?
It's not too far. It's here in the castle ward. You would
Yeah, I know where it is.
Oh, the gentleman here knows of what I speak. Quite silly, those followers of Gond, are they not? Not as proper as us who follow the ways of Helm. Am I right?
I actually think that a person's relationship to the higher powers, the divine, is kind of a private matter. And, you just kind of don't talk about those things in proper company. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you certainly weren't brought up properly then, sir. Good day.
Oh my.
Yeah. And when he's out of earshot, be like, these self-righteous worshippers of Helm, let me tell you, the worst.
I have excellent hearing.
Yeah, so it's a temple. There's a god Gond, and I guess he has these animatronic. But I don't really know though if these animatronic things are like machines or stuff that is being animated by magic. Because our scarecrows, the scarecrows you ran into, were like machines animated by magic. And that was demonic. That was evil magic. And we still have that, by the way, that cursed magic item, just so you guys know.
Yeah, but it's coated in gold now, and that's awesome.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any training in religion, like proficiency?
No.
Let me see.
It's got a bonus of 3, but not proficient.
No, not at all.
All right, Chaz, why don't you give me a religion check, just because, there would have been some general...
I rolled a 5 plus 3. I got an 8.
An 8, okay. Gond is definitely a name you've heard before, but you, for the life of you, can't remember what he's a god of or what their worshippers do.
He wasn't paying attention in that
I'm just
class.
pacing around the blast zone. Yeah, I'm like standing in the middle where the gnome was, just kind of doing a 360, looking around, be like, hey, Kavan, come over here, Kavan.
Yeah.
How fast do you think you could run to the outside of this circle?
Let's see.
All right, I'll count. Hold on, ready? On your mark, we'll go 3, 2, 1, and then you'll see how fast you can get out of the circle. 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2. Are you going,
Done.
Kavan?
Yeah. I'm out.
I think he would have made it.
You're both very confident that he would have been able to jump out of the way of a fireball.
Let's just hope we don't have to deal with one of these in the future. Let me tell you.
Chaz, you seem like, obviously, of the group, you know the most about fire. And with this kind of activity going on, do you think there's any way you can, like, protect us or our new property from fire? Like, do you know anything about
Make
that?
a small bonfire in the very center of the circle.
No, this is kind of the opposite of what I was just asking.
We all know the term fight fire with fire.
All right. Oh.
A mage hand comes and like tries to pat out the fire in the center, but it's not doing a great job.
The thing that bothers me is this gnome was coming to our establishment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing I can't quite figure out.
And a gnome we don't know also.
Yeah, we don't know this gnome. We don't know why they're coming here. So this is weird.
And we don't know why they were stopped.
It's probably worth noting, but that so far all the visitors we've had at our tavern have not been such good guests. They have not been good people for the most part.
Well, I mean, you got two upstanding craftsmen, or two upstanding guild members,
Yeah.
and then you had a carpenter.
Yeah, he was fine, but I'm thinking about uh like was this an Underdark gnome? If I remember
No,
correctly.
he had a charred conical hat that
Oh, okay,
definitely a
right. I
descendant
do
of the
remember that really
forest
hit
folk.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like I was thinking maybe it was like someone who would have come out from, the hole we had to close up in the ground, right? Those kind of
Yeah,
visitors.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. There's several elements at play here. One of them definitely being an organized crime. Other thing, what kills me is why did the murderer stash his murder weapon? That was a necklace of fireballs, I think. Each one of those orbs you can grab and throw, and it turns
Hmm.
into a fire blast.
Chaz, you could confirm that you immediately recognized this magical item because you had, on your own time, done some considerable research into it.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry they took that away. Sorry we weren't able to kind of stash that one for ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, why did the murderer hide his weapon? Just if he was on, a lot of things don't add up.
Chaz is gonna look around. Is anybody looking at us or the our alleyway next to the tavern right now?
No, at this point, all of the people have either gone back to their shops or moved along their ways. The all of the bodies have been taken out. There's just the kind of charred remains of the fire that happened here. But
Okay.
everyone seems to have overcome the shock for now and are going about their normal business.
Okay. Mage Hand opens up one of the windows of the Troll Skull Manor, and then a Mage Hand goes, grabs a little bag of gems, and just tosses it in the window.
Yeah, the gems are procured and secured.
So here's what I keep just running over my head. Since we've been at the tavern, we've had scary visitors, and we've had visitors that want to fix it up or get us to get our license, like business or threatening. And I'm just like, who else knows we're here? Uh, so I'm just so curious where this gnome is coming from. And I assume they probably were going to try to sell us something or try to rough us up. There haven't been that many other experiences so far.
That is a very interesting line of questioning, Penny. And you go over in your mind who the people who really know that you own this.
Yeah, we
And
haven't told anyone. I haven't sent any birds to my gnome friends back home. I'm just
at this point, it is the guild members of the cavern guilds and the brewery. That's going to be a callback
Brewery.
to some fans. I'm incapable of saying the word brewery.
brewery. Now I
Brewery.
can't say it.
Brewery.
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 The beer guilds.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of lumping that into business partners,
Yeah.
people trying to sell us on renovations.
Rainier
and then-
Neverember knows that you are the owners of this.
And I'm jotting this down on
establishment.
a list for some reason because this is really bothering me about who knows we have the tavern, because it's not like we haven't been screaming from the
it's not
rooftops.
widely known.
Yeah.
And of course, the person who sold you, gifted you the tavern
Gifted it, yeah, obviously.
for service is Zolo. Zolo
Mhm.
knows that you're there, and Dolan's past acquaintances are very much aware. The members of the Thieves Guild from Baldur's Gate. Outside of that, no, there don't seem to be a lot of people that would know that. Of course, maybe your neighbors that you've introduced to, but the list is pretty small.
Why are all these quest givers coming by our tavern? This doesn't make any sense.
Well, the thing is, I think we might need to, if we're a little concerned, we could talk to Volo.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the leads is go to the temple of, not the temple, but
House.
the house of greedy hands.
Inspired
Ah,
hands.
that's it.
Yeah.
Inspired hands, which I assume is a temple.
A temple to Gond, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, talk to Volo, look at the temple. I mean, also we know that there's at least one of the three parties is a criminal element.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Foot. I mean, for all I know, the Foot might have access to something that he can make animatronic men and throw fireballs at his enemies. If this war really is what we think it is, or I think it might be, this crime war. But I don't know. I'd prefer not to get too deeply involved in the criminal side, but we might not have a choice. I mean, why do we want to follow up on this? Why don't we let the authorities do their job? What do you say?
I'm just worried, and Dolan, maybe you have a better grasp on this than me, is like how fast word travels. And like, don't get me wrong, I want to stay out of trouble. I think we have a reputable business we can start, but I think we need to figure out why this gnome was coming to us, and I think we need to figure out who else is making these assumptions about us that they can come to us about stuff, right? Like,
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I think knowing why this gnome tried to come to our place is probably a good idea. Yeah.
Well, we could spend the next couple of weeks just bunkering up, making the defenses of this tavern strong. Add some ramparts, add some portcullises.
another cute montage with the animals.
Yep.
The animals with little spears and
putting
helmets.
Up barbed wire.
Yeah. Dude, pay Bob Vila all of our stolen gems to just really beef up the iron doors on this place. Yeah.
I would love to see the family of mice start like chopping the wooden logs with little machetes into spikes and then posting them in the dirt out front, and then like when it pulls back, when the camera pulls back, the little stakes are just tiny toothpicks compared to like how big
and someone just walking down the street steps on them and breaks them all.
Yeah.
And then the mice are up.
You might get a splinter. That'd be pretty annoying.
Yeah. Mess you up. Anyways.
So the big question for the party is, what is your next move?
We're going to make a sign that says no solicitors, and then I guess we can go follow up on one of these leads.
Why don't we head to the Temple of Gond, and then we can maybe see what Volo has to say after.
All right.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is easy to get directions to the Temple of Gond, known as the House of Inspired Hands. As you approach the temple, the House of Inspired Hands looks like a cross between a temple and a workshop. The symbol of Gond, a tooth cog with 4 spokes, is displayed prominently on the above the doorframe. You see the silhouette of a humanoid shape perching on the rooftop. It extends its arms as you approach, and there's something in its hand. He seems to throw it towards you, and this sort of tiny metal bird-like object circles around its head a few times and then dives directly towards Kavan's head.
Oh no.
Mage Hand tries to slap it out of the air.
All right, why don't you make an Arcana check?
I rolled a 2, plus 5 is 7.
You're rolling not so good today, bud.
It happens.
Chad, you quickly summon your mage hand and try to slap or grab the bird as it descends towards Kavan's head. You miss. Kavan, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Of course.
Okay, we know we can outrun a fireball. We've tested this. Like, I'm not too worried. So.
I really like birds.
Yeah, you were completely enamored by this mechanical bird, and as it's coming closer, you're like, I can see it better, and it crashes directly into your face.
Okay.
What character would you like to play next, Ed?
You take 2 points of bludgeoning damage as it bloodies your nose.
Oh.
After this is done, the figure on the roof seems to shakily stand up and dart into a window at the roof of the Temple of God.
You know, I'll grab the wreckage. Like, it
Actually,
has to
Blake,
be- yeah.
you're not going to do anything because we're done. That's
Oh.
where we're going to end.
Oh.
You're not going to
This
do
episode.
anything.
Another
Jack.
Dolan cliffhanger.
And we'll find out what happens next time on the 20-Sided Realms.
Wizard feeds food badly.
Intro music composed by Symphonikev, and again the soundscapes created by Syrinscape.com. Thank you so much for listening to the 20-Sided Realms. If you liked what you heard, please share it with others. Until next time.